On the horizon, a dull light begins to trace contours in the sky. The air carries a dense silence, as if the world itself were holding its breath. Here I am, broadcasting live to you, listeners, directly from this crucial moment. We are nestled in what may be the final chapter of human history, on the day prophesied in ancient texts, Judgment Day. The city around me seems suspended in time. Tall, gray buildings, witnesses to countless generations, now stand motionless under a sky that seems closer than ever. The normally vibrant streets are nearly deserted. Few vehicles still venture out, their engines whispering metallic anxieties. People huddle in small groups, whispering prayers and words of comfort. The faces I see are a tapestry of emotions, intertwining fear, hope, and resignation. Children, clutching their parents' trembling hands, look around with wide eyes, absorbing the tension that hangs like an invisible fog. In the distance, church sirens begin to echo, mingling with prayerful chants that spread like a growing murmur. The voices, some firm, some trembling, rise in a chorus that seeks to break the firmament. It's impossible not to be moved by the power of this collective devotion, even when the heart struggles between faith and uncertainty. The wind carries with it a distinct scent of earth and rain, as if nature itself were preparing for a spectacle that defies comprehension. The trees sway gently, their leaves whispering secrets that only this day could bring to light. I observe a group in the distance, gathered around a small radio, their voices muffled by the transmission. They search for news, signals, any hope of answers. The technology, so advanced, seems like a fragile sail in the face of the impending storm. At this moment, as the world waits with trepidation, I invite you to stay with me. This is the beginning of a journey to understand what lies ahead, to witness the unfolding of events that will define the fate of us all. Stay tuned, for Judgment Day is just beginning, and together, we will explore every moment of this epic story unfolding before our eyes. Here we are, live, at the center of what many are calling the most decisive moment in human history. A vast sea of people stretches as far as the eye can see, all gathered in a valley that seems to echo the rapid beating of their hearts. Men, women, and children, of all races and nations, all united by a common, uncertain, and terrifying destiny. The air is charged with almost palpable anticipation, while the sky above is an oppressive gray, like a blanket of uncertainty enveloping every soul present. In the midst of this pulsating mass, we find the protagonist of our broadcast, the people. This is not a single individual, but a collective that carries within itself the hope and fear of all humanity. Their faces are a tapestry of conflicting emotions, from unshakable faith to profound doubts. Some whisper prayers, others remain in absolute silence, each staring into their own inner abyss, pondering their past choices and the consequences that now inevitably present themselves. The dilemma is clear and universal: what fate awaits each of them? In a scenario where all their actions and intentions are exposed, they wonder who will be considered righteous and who will face a less desirable fate. The weight is unbearable. You can see it in the eyes of those who hold each other's hands, seeking comfort amid the unknown. Parents hug their children tightly, as if physical contact could offer some protection against the impending judgment. The elders, who have lived long lives, reflect on decades of decisions, while the young, with so little time left, wonder if what little they have done will be enough. Tensions are heightened here, where every heart beats to a rhythm that seems to resonate with the drum of destiny itself. Voices, when raised, are muffled by the wind that sweeps through the valley, as if the very atmosphere held everyone's secrets. Amidst it all, a sense of unity develops, a silent understanding that, regardless of the outcome, everyone shares this singular experience. The moment is a vivid portrait of humanity, captured on the threshold between the known and the unknown, where each soul becomes a chapter in a narrative greater than anyone could imagine. This is the people, the protagonists of their own story, facing the final judgment with courage and vulnerability, awaiting the verdict that will define the fate of all. We are here, straight from the living pages of Scripture, where humanity's destiny unfolds before our eyes. Today, the central theme emerging from the shadows and brightness of this apocalyptic scenario is faith. Yes, faith, that invisible force that moves mountains, that shapes realities, and that, at this critical moment, may very well be the anchor of salvation or the last rope that snaps, leaving many adrift in the final storm. Here, on the stage of this day of judgment, faith is not an empty word or a distant concept. It becomes palpable, almost like an entity walking among us, probing hearts, weighing intentions. Thick clouds of uncertainty hang over humanity, but amidst the lightning and thunder, it is the sparks of faith that shine brightest. We observe, as ordinary people face the extraordinary, every choice, every gesture, a reflection of the faith they profess. But it's not just faith that's put to the test. Obedience, that guiding thread that connects faith to action, reveals itself as a silent testament to who we truly are when the whole world seems to be falling apart. Amidst the chaos, we hear the cry of those who keep their vows, who follow the whispering voice of conscience or the ancient commandments as an infallible compass. The internal struggle is visible in tense faces, in eyes desperately searching for a sign, a confirmation that their beliefs were not in vain. Obedience, often misinterpreted as mere submission, is here reimagined as an act of courage, a declaration of unshakable trust in something greater than ourselves. In this arena of destiny, faith and obedience dance an ancient choreography, but never so urgent. We witness leaders who, with a gesture, can inspire multitudes to remain steadfast. We also see those who, in silence, prove through action what words could never express. So, listeners, as the world watches, it's not just a matter of surviving the judgment, but of transcending human limitations, of achieving, through faith and obedience, a deeper understanding of what it truly means to live. Time marches on relentlessly, but the choice, at every moment, between faith and doubt, obedience and despair, remains in our hands. Destiny, after all, is not just a path laid out, but a reflection of the steps we choose to take. Ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves here in a scenario no one could have predicted, a moment in which the very fabric of reality seems to be unraveling before our eyes. The air is charged with an almost palpable tension. The sky, normally blue and serene, is now filled with dense, dark clouds, as if nature itself is holding its breath, waiting for what is to come. As the sunlight fades behind this hazy shroud, something strange and inexplicable begins to unfold. Reports from around the world reach us, describing a low, resonant sound, almost a melody, that seems to emanate from the very depths of the earth. A sound that reverberates in the bones, not heard, but felt, as if the earth itself were whispering a fearful secret. Amid this unrest, people gather in squares, streets, and homes, looking to the sky for answers. There's a growing murmur of panic, but also of anticipation. Many wonder, is this the first sign of a cosmic shift, a harbinger of things to come? People's faces reflect a kaleidoscope of emotions, from paralyzing fear to almost childlike curiosity. Suddenly, an incandescent light streaks across the sky, a trail of fire that cuts through the clouds like a flaming sword. It's not a meteor, it's not a known astronomical phenomenon. Witnesses claim the light seems to have a purpose, a direction. Silence. Everyone waits, eyes fixed on the horizon, where the fire slowly dies, leaving a sense that something profound and irrevocable has just happened. As we stand here, at the epicenter of an unfolding story, there is a shared understanding that this is only the beginning. The first sign of change is always the most enigmatic and terrifying, a prelude to events beyond human comprehension. Each person, in their own way, begins to contemplate the fate that lies ahead, as the world seems poised on the threshold of a new era. We will continue to bring you updates as events unfold, as the unknown reveals itself. Stay tuned, for this is only the beginning. The story of Judgment Day is only just beginning to be written. We are here, on the precipice of destiny, where every soul trembles before the magnitude of the final judgment. In the confines of this apocalyptic landscape, the protagonist, one face among many, struggles internally with a palpable hesitation. The tension is almost tangible in the air, like a storm about to break. The sky, heavy with dark clouds, mirrors the internal conflict consuming our protagonist. He stands frozen, torn between the urge to move forward and the desire to retreat. Around him, The sounds of trumpets and the whispers of angels mingle with the murmur of the crowds, each facing their own scores to settle. Within his mind, a silent battle rages. He recalls moments of his life, as if leafing through the pages of an old book. His innocent childhood, the difficult choices of youth, the mistakes made and the successes that now seem like small sparks of light amidst a vast darkness. He weighs every decision, every unspoken word, every missed opportunity. The judgment is not only external, but also internal, waged deep within his consciousness. Hesitation grows, a shadow whispering doubts in his heart. What if I'm not worthy? An inner voice questions. What if my good deeds don't outweigh my failures? Every thought is an echo that resonates, amplifying the uncertainty. He sees the faces of the people he's loved and hurt, those he's helped and those he's ignored. Memories dance around him, an endless cycle of regret and hope. The protagonist looks around, searching for a sign, an answer, something that will give him the courage to cross this bridge between life and what comes next. He observes his companions, some with serene expressions, others with faces hardened by fear. Humanity is united, yet divided, each carrying their own cross. And then, something changes. A spark of determination ignites in his eyes. Hesitation begins to give way to acceptance. He realizes that this is a path everyone must follow, an inevitable destiny that cannot be postponed. Understanding that the trial is not just a sentence, but a conclusion to everything he has been, the protagonist takes a deep breath. With one last look at the uncertain horizon, he takes a step forward, leaving hesitation behind. With each step, doubt dissipates, replaced by the courage to face what lies beyond. Fate awaits, relentless and just, and our protagonist advances, determined to face judgment, not as an act of desperation, but as a testament to his humanity. This is the biblical Frontline Reporter, bringing you a first-hand look at the event that is shaking the Earth's foundations, a catalyst forcing action into the unknown. I'm positioned between roiling skies and a ground that trembles beneath our feet. The atmosphere around me is charged with a palpable tension, as if the very air knows something monumental is about to occur. On the horizon, a blinding light breaks through the dense clouds, not just a meteorological spectacle, but a sign that echoes through the ages, foretold in ancient prophecies. The people around me stand still, some on their knees, others staring, fear and hope intertwined on their faces. Each gaze bears witness to a scene that transcends human comprehension. The trumpets resound, not from earthly instruments, but from a celestial sound vibrating within. This is the turning point, the moment that alters the course of history and redefines the destiny of all. The ground seems to pulsate with a life of its own, and the sky opens to reveal celestial legions, an army of light advancing with purpose, bringing with it the promise of a final judgment. Amidst this epic scenario, I see figures emerging, leaders and prophets, each summoned to their positions of power and influence. They are like pieces on a cosmic chessboard, moved by forces that defy all earthly logic. This is the time when decisions must be made, when inaction is no longer a viable option. The thunderous sound of the trumpet is accompanied by shouts, prayers, and the murmur of the wind carrying words from forgotten times. Humanity is on the verge of a forced awakening, a call that cannot be refused. This is not an isolated event, but the catalyst, the impulse that pushes us into action, an action that will determine our collective destiny. Here, live, I am witnessing the unfolding of a cosmic drama, in which every human being is an unwitting participant. This is the turning point, where every choice, every act, could tip the scales of destiny. Stay tuned, for destiny's clock is ticking, and the time for action is now. Stay with us as we continue to cover this event of biblical proportions. Here we are, in the midst of the final turmoil, where each soul faces its fate. The tension is palpable, like a storm about to explode. On the horizon, dark clouds swirl, while a cold, biting wind sweeps across the land. In this chaotic landscape, one scene stands out with strength and intensity, like a beacon in the darkness. The crowd is divided. People look around, some in panic, others in deep thought. In the center of this tumult, I see a young man with wide eyes. He is petrified, as if time itself has stocked for him. His name is David. He always knew this day would come, but now that he is here, the fear is overwhelming. David is surrounded by voices and sounds that echo like thunder. They speak of judgment and hope, of condemnation and redemption. He closes his eyes, trying to block out the deafening noise around him. Every fiber of his being is tense, like a string about to snap. And then, something changes. Amidst the chaos, a soft voice resonates within him, not with commands, but with a gentle, firm call. Come, it says. Come as you are, with fear, with doubts. This voice doesn't force him, but offers an invitation impossible to ignore. David opens his eyes. The storm still rages, but now he sees something else, a path, narrow and illuminated, stretching out before him. With his heart pounding in his chest, David takes a step forward. Each step is a battle against fear, against uncertainty. But he walks. He knows that what lies ahead is greater than what lies behind. Accepting this calling, even with the fear still present, is like a flame that cannot be extinguished. Around her, others begin to take notice. Inspired by her courage, they too face their fears and accept their fates. It's a growing movement, a wave of hope that defies despair. David's journey is the journey of many. Accepting the call, even in the face of fear, is a step of faith that transforms the terror of the unknown into something manageable. Here, on Judgment Day, every choice echoes into eternity. And as we watch, it's impossible not to feel that, in this struggle between fear and acceptance, courage is winning. This is the biblical Frontline Reporter, reporting live from the epicenter of what many are calling Judgment Day. Around me, the atmosphere is charged with tension and anticipation. People everywhere are preparing for the journey ahead. The air vibrates with a mixture of fear and hope, while the sky, a deep gray, seems to hold its breath with us. Amidst the crowd, I see faces that reflect the seriousness of the moment. Some are kneeling, murmuring fervent prayers. Others, with their eyes fixed on the horizon, seem to be waiting for a sign, any indication that the first step toward the unknown must be taken. The wind carries a constant murmur, as if the earth itself were whispering ancient secrets. Every gesture, every glance exchanged, is loaded with meaning. Families are united, holding on to each other as if proximity can offer protection. I hear snippets of conversation, words of encouragement, and shared memories, as the elders tell stories of faith and resilience, preparing the younger ones for what lies ahead. Preparation for this journey is both physical and spiritual. The most prudent check their provisions, adjust their clothing, and ensure they are ready for any adversity. There is a sense of purpose, a fierce determination in their eyes. They know this first step is crucial, a moment that could define their destinies. The scenery around me is austerely beautiful and imposing. Distant mountains stand like ancient guardians, silently witnessing the unfolding events. The ground beneath our feet is firm, but there's a sense that everything is about to change. This is the prelude to a journey that promises to test every fiber of our being. As I watch, I notice a group standing out from the rest. Natural leaders emerge, their voices firm and resolute. They speak of faith, courage, and the importance of starting with conviction. There's a silent consensus that the first step isn't just an act of movement, but a commitment, a declaration that they're ready to face trial and embrace whatever comes next. Here, on the threshold between the known and the unknown, the atmosphere is charged with potential. The Last Judgment is more than a fateful date, it is a call to action, an invitation to transformation. And as the sun begins to rise, casting a golden glow over the scene, I sense the first step will soon be taken. The journey is about to begin. Here we are, listeners, at the very moment the first threshold is crossed, where the known dissolves into the unknown. The atmosphere around me is charged, as if the air itself were about to reveal ancient secrets. The earth trembles slightly, a deep murmur, barely audible, but impossible to ignore. I am here, in a scene that seems to have come from the most ancient prophecies. This is the starting point for many, where the familiar ground ends and the mysterious path stretches ahead. The people around me stand still, some hesitant, others driven by an unwavering urgency. Eyes meet, a combination of fear and hope etched on every face. The skies, an oppressive gray, seem to watch, witnessing every step, every decision. As we move forward, there is a noticeable shift. The light here is different, a soft luminescence that defies reason. It's not the brightness of the sun, but something ethereal, almost spiritual. Shadows dance at the edges, creating shapes that seem to whisper stories of ages past. There is no doubt, we have crossed into a realm where the laws of the previous world no longer apply. Curious sounds echo in the distance, a cacophony of distant bells and ancient chants, as if an invisible crowd were keeping vigil. The path ahead forks in multiple directions, each promising a different destination. It's a crossroads of choices, where every decision seems fraught with immeasurable consequences. The winds blow, bringing with them indescribable fragrances, hints of frankincense and myrrh floating in the air. There is a palpable sense of presence, as if invisible forces are watching us, evaluating our next move. It is the true test of faith, where inner conviction is the only compass. On the horizon, the outlines of figures form, entities of light and shadow that seem to guard the gates of the unknown. They don't speak, but their gazes are eloquent, communicating secrets that go beyond words. We are facing the unknown, listeners. It is a moment of decision, charged with potential and mystery, an irresistible invitation to venture forth. This is just the beginning, the first step on a journey that promises to reveal the destiny of each soul. Stay with me as we uncover what lies beyond this threshold. Here we are, listeners, at the center of what seems to be the most crucial moment in human history. The trumpets have resounded in the heavens, signaling the beginning of the first tests of Judgment Day. The atmosphere is charged with palpable tension. The world watches in silent terror as those who were once neighbors and colleagues now find themselves as allies or enemies in this spiritual battle. To one side of my field of vision, I see a group of people, their faces illuminated by unwavering determination. They are the chosen ones, those who believe they have lived according to divine laws, their minds focused and their hearts steadfast. They gather in whispered prayers, forming an invisible shield against what is to come. The light surrounds them like a protective aura, each word spoken with a confidence that only faith can provide. On the other side, a mass of somber faces stirs, confused and restless. They are those who stand on the brink of uncertainty, those whose past actions now weigh like chains. Among them are figures who once rose to power and influence, now reduced to mere mortals, facing imminent judgment. Their voices rise in despair as they try to find support in one another, but doubt divides them. Above all, a towering presence looms, a celestial being whose eyes seem capable of probing the depths of the human soul. Justice and mercy are balanced in his countenance as he watches, evaluating every heart, every intention. The wind blows fiercely, as if creation itself awaits his verdict. The first tests have already begun, listeners. In every corner of the world, people face their own trials, revealing themselves as allies or enemies in the unfolding cosmic narrative. The ground seems to tremble beneath our feet, a constant reminder that the fate of all of us hangs in the balance. Tension mounts as we await the next stage of this final judgment. Stay with us as we report minute by minute on this unprecedented event. Stay tuned for each new revelation, for time is running out, and each decision could be crucial in determining each person's eternal destiny. Here we are, in the monumental setting of Judgment Day. The air vibrates with an almost palpable tension as humanity faces the first major obstacle on its journey to salvation. Around me, crowds gather, their faces a mixture of anticipation and fear. The shadows of the past and the actions of the present weigh heavily on every soul gathered here. On the horizon, a colossal barrier looms. It is the first challenge human beings must face. It is not a physical barrier, but a spiritual one. An invisible but irresistible force that seems to probe each person's heart, searching for weaknesses, fears, and regrets. People hesitate, some paralyzed by doubt. The air is thick with murmurs and whispered prayers. A young man to my left, his face etched with anguish, advances hesitantly. He seems to struggle against an invisible wind, a crushing weight of his past actions. This obstacle is a test of purity of intention, of sincere repentance. The young man falls to his knees, tears streaming as he raises his gaze to the heavens in a desperate cry for mercy. Around him, others gather, their voices merging into a chorus of supplication. The cost of this challenge is immense. For many, it is a moment of personal revelation, of confronting their own shortcomings. The weight of judgment resonates in every heart. Those who fail to pass are pulled back, their hopes temporarily crushed. And yet, there are those who manage to push forward, their faces lit with new determination. As some begin to cross this spiritual barrier, there is a visible transformation. They emerge on the other side with a glow of relief and renewal. It's as if an invisible burden has been lifted from their shoulders. But for every person who crosses, there is another who falls, facing the need for even deeper redemption. The spiritual wind blowing through this obstacle carries the prayers and wishes of everyone present. Each breakthrough is a personal victory, a small flame of hope amid this vast divine judgment. We continue to watch closely, awaiting the next act of this celestial drama, as humanity marches toward its eternal destiny. We are live, here on the brink of history's abyss, where humanity's fate hangs in the balance with the uncertainty of tomorrow. Amidst the chaos of Judgment Day, we find a rare moment of relief, a small victory that seems to ignite a flame of hope in afflicted hearts. The heavy, threatening clouds covering the sky part for a moment, allowing a ray of sunlight to touch the desolate land, as if the sky itself wished to grant a respite from the prevailing affliction. Down below, among the survivors taking refuge in the ruins of a devastated city, news spreads by word of mouth. A group of people managed to rescue a lost child, reuniting him with his family. The scene is deeply moving. The mother, with tears in her eyes, holds her son to her chest, while all around, faces hardened by the daily struggle relax for a brief moment. There are smiles, hugs, and even laughter, echoing like the notes of a long-forgotten song. This small triumph amid despair offers a respite from endless suffering. But it is only a fleeting illusion, a moment of false hope. For soon, the signs of impending judgment manifest themselves once again. Trumpets blare in the distance, announcing that this is not a land of lasting peace, but rather a spiritual battlefield where every soul is at stake. Whispers of hope are quickly drowned out by the roar of thunder, reminding everyone that the time for reconciliation is short. The forces of heaven and hell continue their deadly dance across the earth, and while the child's rescue briefly rekindled faith, the reality of judgment looms like a relentless shadow. The question that now lingers like an indelible mark in the air is, will this moment of fleeting joy be enough to inspire courage to face what lies ahead? Or will false hope only prolong the inevitable agony? As the sun sets once more, the crowd disperses, each returning to their shelters, carrying with them the memory of that small victory. A victory that, though fleeting, lit a spark of humanity amidst the darkness of the final judgment. Here we are, listeners, at the epicenter of a crucial moment, where the horizon is filled with unmistakable signs that something monumental is about to happen. The sky, once blue and clear, is now covered in heavy clouds, a sight that seems to press down on the world with its overwhelming presence. There is an almost palpable unease in the air, as real danger approaches, and the enemy, invisible but undeniably present, gathers its forces. Around us, the murmur of the celestial and terrestrial ranks intensifies. Angels in their resplendent armor line the stage, their wings fluttering with silent anticipation. The earth trembles beneath the feet of the human armies, each soldier aware of their role in this cosmic battle that none of us can avoid. The tension is almost unbearable, like a string stretched to its limit, about to snap. And then, we hear the sound. At first, it's just a distant whisper, but it quickly grows, a roar that reverberates across the valleys and mountains. It's the enemy forces, now visible, advancing with fierce determination. Darkness swirls around them, shrouding them in menacing shadows that seem to devour the light. The enemy leader, an imposing figure, raises his arm in command, his presence a beacon of defiance and malice. The atmosphere is charged with electricity, every molecule in the air vibrating with the imminent clash. The skies darken further, a prelude to the approaching storm. Lightning flashes across the sky, eerily illuminating the tense faces of the combatants. The moment is now, the time for hesitation is over. The heavenly and earthly hosts prepare for the clash, their voices rising in songs of courage and resistance. In the midst of all this, we witness the intensification of the enemy's power. It is as if the very air is permeated with its growing strength, a dark tide that threatens to engulf everything. But even in the face of this threat, hope still shines in the eyes of the righteous. It is a vision that inspires, that challenges hopelessness, that declares that, despite the enemy's strengthening, the light will not be extinguished. We are on the brink of an epic battle, listeners. A fight that will decide the fate of us all. As the enemy grows stronger, we too grow stronger, armed with faith and determination. Prepare yourselves, for the inevitable is unfolding before our eyes. We stand here, steadfast, ready to face whatever comes. This is Judgment Day, and our fate is in our hands. Stay tuned, for history is still being written. Here we are, amid the maelstrom of Judgment Day. The scene is apocalyptic, but hope resurfaces like the dawn after a long night. As a frontline reporter, I'm facing a scene that redefines the fate of humanity. Around us, chaos seems to have taken over, but leaders are coming together, minds united in a common purpose. A new plan is being forged, a path forward amidst overwhelming odds. Around me, the murmur of the crowds mingles with the sound of the winds sweeping the land. The sun, in an enigmatic sky, casts its last golden rays, illuminating faces marked by uncertainty, but also by determination. In the shadows cast by the ruins, stands a group of resolute figures. They are guided by an unshakable faith, committed to finding a way where all seems lost. I see Moses, his presence as strong as in the days of old, when he parted the Red Sea. Beside him, David consults a map, tracing invisible lines of hope. Daniel, with the serenity of one who has faced lions, discusses strategies. These are the architects of the new plan, a plan based not on wealth or territory, but on faith and unity. The scene is stunning. They speak in a language that transcends words, a language of courage and purpose. Above them, the sky becomes a vast stage where dark clouds slowly dissipate, as if recognizing the urgency and importance of this moment. The sound of distant trumpets echoes, not as a signal of condemnation, but as a call to action, to renewal. Those who heed this counsel are not mere spectators. They become part of this audacious plan, each bringing their hopes and talents to this new alliance. The plan unfolds like an intricate tapestry, intertwining destinies and visions for a future that, though uncertain, is full of promise. As the meeting disperses, there's a palpable shift in the air. It's not just the plan that's been hatched, but also the courage instilled in the hearts of everyone here. This is a defining moment, a turning point in this epic saga. Amidst hardship and judgment, a new path emerges. I am here, witnessing history in the making, where faith transforms into action and hope into reality. This is the new plan, laid out with the determination and vision of a people who refuse to succumb. Stay tuned as we continue to bring you accounts of this extraordinary unfolding of events. We are now at a critical juncture, listeners. Around me, the feeling is almost palpable, as if the air is charged with electricity. The sun is high in the sky, but there is an impending darkness, an invisible weight that everyone here feels. The ticking sound resonates like a silent drum, marking time, but each beat of the clock seems louder, more menacing. We are all waiting, unsure of what awaits us, but aware that it is something grand and definitive. People on the streets are in a state of anxious anticipation. Some look up at the sky, others exchange nervous glances. There's a constant murmur, a mix of whispered prayers and tense conversations. Faces reflect a combination of fear and hope. Each passing second seems to stretch, as if time were on the verge of snapping in half. The wind blows erratically, kicking up dust and leaves, which dance in capricious swirls, while the world seems to hold its breath. Church bells ring at intervals, a cacophony of tradition and despair. The notes echo through towns and villages, a reminder of what's to come. The sound of distant rivers, normally serene and steady, now seems frantic, like a river rushing toward an uncertain destination. The horizon seems closer, as if closing in on us. Clouds begin to form, heavy and dense, covering the sky like a blanket. Time, that eternal companion, seems to have its own clock, relentlessly advancing toward an inevitable point. There's a sense that we're about to cross a threshold, a point of no return. Amidst all this, there is a strange stillness, a silence that seeps through the sounds, as if the world is on tenterhooks, about to leap into the unknown. The animals, normally agitated and noisy, fall silent, perhaps feeling something many of us still can't fully comprehend. News arrives from all corners, reports of unexplained phenomena, of signs that many interpret as omens. Science and faith intersect in heated debates, but here, in the heart of waiting, all this seems distant. What matters is the now, the constant ticking that reminds everyone of the incessant march of time. And so, I stand here among you, witnessing and waiting. Every minute that passes is a step closer to the unknown, the inevitable. Hold on tight, listeners. The clock keeps ticking, and the fate of all of us is about to be revealed. Here we are, amidst absolute chaos, where all seems lost. The once brilliant sky is now covered in dense, heavy clouds, a dark mantle that weighs on the earth like a sentence. The air is heavy, charged with an electricity that makes every hair stand on end. It's as if nature is silent, awaiting the inevitable outcome. Around us, once vibrant cities are plunged into shadow. The streets, once teeming with life, now echo with hurried footsteps and whispers of fear. People huddle together, looking up, searching for answers they can't find. Their faces reflect a mix of terror and resignation. Here, in this moment, the sense of helplessness is palpable. The winds howl with a fury that seems a direct manifestation of something beyond our world. They bring with them a biting cold, a harbinger of approaching judgment. In the distance, the sound of trumpets echoes, deep and reverberating, piercing the souls of all who hear it. It is an ancient sound, speaking of a time and a destiny we cannot avoid. In this desolate scene, we see those trying to gather together, seeking comfort in one another, their hands clasped in desperate prayer. Spiritual leaders, with trembling voices, try to offer hope, but even they seem uncertain, their eyes betraying doubt and fear. The ground beneath our feet trembles, as if the earth itself were groaning under the weight of the moment. Tall buildings sway, windows shatter in the wind. The sound of breaking glass, combined with the wail of the winds, creates a symphony of impending destruction. It's the darkest moment, where the light seems extinguished, where the horizon merges with darkness. Everything that was solid, known, now dissolves into uncertainty. The sense of loss is overwhelming, as if every particle of our being is being tested. As we stand here at this crossroads between the known and the unknown, we feel the weight of what is to come. This is the twilight of judgment, where every heart is weighed, where every soul is put to the test. We stand before the abyss, and the fate of each of us hangs in the balance of time. Dear listeners, we are here, in the eye of the storm, where the line between heaven and earth disintegrates before our eyes. Amidst the chaos, something truly extraordinary is happening. A revelation, a divine insight, is unfolding that promises to change everything we know. The heavens, once shrouded in clouds of judgment, have now opened in a spectacle of light and sound, almost beyond description. High above, a resplendent figure, surrounded by angels whose wings flutter like a mighty heavenly host, raises his hand. A voice, echoing like thunder and music at once, fills the air with a power that shakes the ground. The crowds, until now immersed in fear and anticipation, now fall silent, captivated by the magnitude of this moment. The voice speaks truths that resonate in the core of every being present. The divine insight is clear. It is not just a judgment, but a renewal. A chance for redemption offered by a love that transcends human understanding. The words are like a key that unlocks the hardened heart, revealing the essence of compassion and forgiveness. It is a call to look beyond the chaos and see the possibility of a new beginning. The reaction is palpable. The air is charged with conflicting emotions: hope, fear, regret. Many fall to their knees, tears streaming down faces hardened by time and pain. It is impossible to remain indifferent. This moment of revelation resonates in souls, as if every word were written in a universal language that only the heart can understand. This divine insight spreads like wildfire through the crowd. The promise of a transformed destiny blazes before them. It is an awakening, a turning point that redefines the narrative of the day. Amid the dull din of the apocalypse, the whisper of hope rises, promising not just the end, but a glorious beginning. The scene is at once cataclysmic and serene. While the earth churns below, the sky above offers a vision of peace, a promise of redemption. People are changing, here and now, before our eyes. A transformation is underway, and there is no turning back. Stay tuned, for this story is far from over. We are witnessing a decisive chapter, where the fate of many will be sealed. Stay with us as the revelation continues to unfold, promising to illuminate the path ahead. This is the Biblical Frontline Reporter, bringing you news directly from the spiritual battlefield, where tension is palpable, but new hope is beginning to emerge. The scene here is one of transformation. After the desolation felt in the initial phases of this cataclysmic event, I observed something extraordinary: a recovery of hope, an almost supernatural movement, uniting people under a common purpose. Amidst the chaos, small groups of survivors have begun to form. They gather in open clearings, away from the turmoil, each bringing their own stories of loss and resilience. A newfound determination shines in their eyes. They are organizing, not just to survive, but to fight for a better future. There is a constant buzz, voices that were once mere murmurs now gaining strength, outlining plans, rekindling the faith that seemed lost. Natural leaders emerge among them, men and women who, guided by a greater force, inspire others to join forces. Messages of hope are passed from mouth to mouth, echoing across the hills and valleys. We are not alone, some shout, standing on makeshift platforms. All around, the atmosphere is charged with an almost tangible electricity. There is a sense that, united, they can face any adversity. The scene here is cinematic. In the distance, shadows of men and women move as one, their silhouettes silhouetted against the lightning sky. Rays of light penetrate the clouds, casting a dramatic illumination over the terrain. The metallic sound of swords being sharpened and the melody of prayers blend into a single, pulsating rhythm. There's a cadence to their movements, a harmony that can only be described as divine. The recovery of hope is like a bonfire that, fueled by each new follower, grows and spreads. Forces gather, not only in number, but in spirit. Each day, more arrive, coming from all corners, drawn by a promise of redemption and renewal. They bring with them skills, knowledge, and, above all, renewed faith. This is a crucial moment, a fork in the road for humanity. And as the final battle approaches, here, at the heart of this rebirth, we witness the power of unity and collective hope. Stay tuned, for history is still being written, and we all have a role to play. This is the Biblical Frontline Reporter, closing this broadcast with the certainty that hope, once rekindled, is an unstoppable force. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Biblical Frontline Reporter, bringing you a live broadcast from the eye of the prophetic hurricane. We are on the threshold of what many believe to be the most anticipated and feared moment in history, Judgment Day. Yet, paradoxically, an unsettling calm reigns, a stillness that seems to defy the imminence of the apocalyptic storm. Around me, the scene is one of almost supernatural serenity. The sky is a deep blue, without a single cloud in sight, as if the firmament itself were holding its breath. The trees, usually swaying in the wind, remain still, their leaves frozen in time, like scenes from an untouchable painting. It's a calm that weighs heavily on the shoulders, as if the very air were saturated with anticipation. People walk the streets in reverent silence. Here and there, I see glances exchanged, filled with unspoken questions, a tacit understanding of what's to come. The children, usually so full of energy, now play in an almost respectful silence, as if sensing the gravity of the moment. It's a scene eerily reminiscent of the treacherous calm that precedes a devastating storm. We hear rumors, whispers that the signs are aligning. Prophets and sages, their faces etched with wisdom and concern, gather in squares and temples, murmuring ancient words about seals and trumpets, about a future about to unfold. The feeling is that we are in a state of suspension, in a precarious balance between what has been and what is to come. This oppressive silence, this illusory peace, only intensifies the tension. It's like being in the eye of a storm, observing the calm in the eye of the hurricane, aware that the winds of change and judgment are already gathering, ready to sweep away everything in their paths. There's a tacit understanding that we're on the brink of something monumental, and this moment of tranquility is just the prelude to the inevitable. Stay tuned, listeners. We are on the verge of witnessing events unfold beyond comprehension, and I promise to be here, reporting every step of this prophetic journey. This is the biblical Frontline Reporter, keeping you informed in this quiet before the final storm. We are here, amidst a scene that defies all human comprehension. The ground trembles beneath our feet, the air seems charged with electricity, and the heavens, oh, the heavens, are divided in a battle of light and shadow. I am broadcasting live from the apocalyptic battlefield, where the first phase of the climax unfolds before our incredulous eyes. To our left, the forces of good, resplendent in armor of light, advance with unwavering determination. At their command, angels with majestic wings, their flaming swords cut the air with surgical precision, emitting a nearly blinding glow. The atmosphere around them pulses with pure energy, a force that inspires hope even in the most fearful hearts. To the right, the army of darkness lines up. Imposing, grotesque figures, shrouded in dense shadows, challenge the lights of the sky with roars that echo like thunder. Their eyes are red slits, filled with sinister intent. The weapons they wield seem to absorb the light, transforming everything around them into a shroud of suffocating darkness. Between these opposing forces, a palpable tension hangs in the air. People around me, of all nations, hold their breath, trapped in a reverent silence, as confrontation inevitably approaches. The ground, marked by cracks and dust, seems to vibrate with the anticipation of something grand. And then it happens. With a thunderous roar that reverberates in our bones, the two forces collide. It's a titanic clash, a dance of destruction and creation that defies all logic. Rays of light cut through the darkness, while war cries and sacred chants mingle in a breathtaking cacophony. Here, every second stretches into an eternity, every movement charged with meaning. We are on the front lines of an unprecedented event, a confrontation that is not only physical, but also spiritual. The forces of good and evil fight not only for territory, but for the soul of the universe itself. And we, mere spectators, witness the unfolding of a battle that will define the fate of everything we know. As the dust begins to settle, one thing becomes clear: this is only the first phase of the climax. The fate of everyone, of the world, of every soul, still remains to be decided. Stay tuned as we continue to bring you every detail of this extraordinary day. Here we are again, listeners, amidst the chaos and confusion of what may be the last day. The trumpets have sounded, the heavens have opened, and the battlefield lies before us like a divine painting of light and shadow. The heavenly forces line one side, their gleaming armor reflecting the light of a sun that seems hesitant to set. On the other, the shadowy legions, dark as night, move with a determination that makes the earth tremble. The tension is palpable, the air charged with electricity and anticipation. The sound of swords crossing and shields clashing echoes across the vastness, each blow like thunder. But, listeners, something is changing. An unexpected turn of events, a moment no one here saw coming. The celestial front line, which seemed impenetrable, begins to waver. The celestial warriors, who once advanced without hesitation, now retreat, as if facing an invisible force pushing them back. And then, as if rising from the ashes of doubt, a figure stands out. It is Michael, the archangel, his presence imposing amidst the anarchy. With a voice that cuts through the tumult, he summons his forces, rallying them with unquestionable authority. The light emanating from him is not merely physical, it is a force that renews the courage of the heavens. The scales begin to tick again, but in what direction remains uncertain. In contrast, the leader of the Dark Legions, imposing and enigmatic, advances, trying to capitalize on the momentary hesitation. It's a dangerous dance, a game of strategy that neither side can afford to lose. As the clouds gather, covering the battlefield in a gray blanket, an unsettling calm sets in. It's the calm before the storm, a pause that heralds an even more ferocious outcome. The battle, listeners, is far from over. The forces are reorganizing, and the land, weary and scarred, awaits the next move. This turn of events, this brief moment of uncertainty, serves as a powerful reminder that, on this day of judgment, nothing is guaranteed. Stay with us as we continue to witness this epic confrontation, where every second can change the fate of everything we know. Attention listeners, at this critical moment, we are witnessing the climax of the unthinkable. Here, at the epicenter of a battle that transcends time and space, the culminating moment of the Last Judgment is unfolding before our eyes. An electric silence permeates the air as all elements seem to await the outcome of this celestial confrontation. On the front lines, the forces of light and darkness face each other in palpable tension. The vast horizon is streaked with rays of an almost divine intensity, as if the universe itself were participating in this final spectacle. The clouds, dense and tumultuous, part to reveal a majestic figure, resplendent in glory, casting a radiance that cuts through the darkness like a silver blade. See, listeners, the miracle is happening. The celestial figure, with earth-shattering authority, raises a hand. In response, a wave of pure, intense light spreads out, sweeping across the battlefield with overwhelming force. The shadows, once menacing, begin to dissipate, disintegrating beneath this relentless light. It is as if every particle of darkness is being purified, transformed into something new and redemptive. The heavenly armies advance with renewed determination. Their chorus of victory echoes through the heavens, a melody that resonates deeply in the hearts of all present. The earth vibrates with the impact of this celestial sound, while the stunned enemies begin to retreat, helpless before the inevitability of what now seems to be their final fate. For those present, it is impossible not to feel the weight of this historic moment. The victory of light is not just the defeat of darkness, it is the promise of a new dawn, an era of renewal and hope. Tears flow freely down the faces of the spectators, tears of relief and joy, for they know they are witnessing the birth of a new chapter in the story of creation. At this moment, listeners, the miracle is complete. Victory is assured. A new order is being established, and humanity, on its knees, begins to see the first glimpse of what is to come. Stay tuned, for we are only at the beginning of eternity, where each soul will find its place in this vast and wonderful renewed cosmos. This is your biblical Frontline Reporter, reporting directly from the catastrophic scene of Judgment Day. The atmosphere around me is electrifying, as if the entire universe is about to release its final breaths. The air is charged with tension and expectation, an almost palpable anticipation. The skies, once vast and blue, now roil with dark clouds that swirl in a menacing maelstrom. Rays of light cut across the sky like flaming swords, illuminating anxious and fearful faces. The climax, that culminating moment everyone had been waiting for, has finally arrived. And now, we are in the critical phase, the immediate aftermath unfolding before our eyes. The earth trembles beneath our feet, as if the ground itself were writhing in agony. Humanity is on the brink of an irreversible transformation, a turning point that will divide the before and the after. Around me, crowds gather, their expressions shifting between hope and despair. Parents clutch their children tightly, seeking comfort in their touch, while friends and family join in desperate embraces. A silence hangs in the air, interrupted only by the sound of heavenly trumpets echoing in the distance, a call that resonates deeply in the soul of every human being present. The angels, majestic and imposing, descend from the heavens, their resplendent wings contrasting with the dark sky. They hover like divine judges, their penetrating gazes assessing every heart, weighing every soul. It is a spectacle of terrifying beauty, a celestial choreography that decides the fate of billions. On the horizon, the line between the physical and spiritual world seems to be blurring. The separation between what is earthly and what is eternal is being erased before our eyes. The mountains, which once seemed unshakable, crumble like dust in the wind. The seas are agitated, their waters rising in monstrous waves, as if the ocean itself were being rearranged. Amidst this chaos, some fall to their knees, surrendering to the inevitable, while others raise their arms, crying out for mercy. The faith of many is tested as never before, the hope of a few shines brighter than the shadows that surround them. This is the consequence of the climax, a moment that redefines everything we know. Here, in the heart of Judgment Day, where every soul's fate is sealed, the entire world watches, holding its breath, awaiting the final verdict that will resound for all eternity. And as time seems to stand still, we all wait, anxiously, for what is to come. This is the biblical Frontline Reporter, reporting from the heart of what many are calling the most impactful moment in human history. As the dust begins to settle, a surreal vision unfolds before us, as if we're standing on a threshold between the known and the unknown. Around me, the air still carries remnants of the celestial thunder that once tore through the heavens with a deafening sound, shaking the very earth. Now, as calm slowly returns, the landscape reveals itself as a mosaic of striking contrasts. Once majestic mountains seem sculpted by an invisible hand, their tops now flattened or transformed into hills where they were once peaks. The ground, once rich in vegetation, is covered in a layer of dust that seems almost ethereal, defying gravity as it dances with the slightest breeze. Amidst this desolate landscape, human figures begin to emerge, their expressions oscillating between relief and bewilderment. It's as if a curtain has been lifted, revealing the new reality everyone will have to face. In the distance, I can see groups forming, small clusters of people whispering among themselves, trying to understand what comes next. Faces covered in dirt, eyes wide, each processing the magnitude of what they've just experienced. The silence, broken only by the distant sound of hesitant footsteps on the sodden earth, is almost tangible. Closer to me, a river that once flowed vigorously now moves at a sluggish pace, its banks reshaped by the overwhelming force that has passed. Fish leap, perhaps stunned by the change, while birds, flying low, seem to be searching for a safe place to land. Sunlight, filtered through scattered clouds, creates a play of shadows that dance across the terrain, as if the sky itself were trying to comfort those watching. The temperature, curiously, remains mild, a reminder that, despite the devastation, life continues to pulse. Right now, uncertainty is the only certainty. Every glance exchanged, every outstretched hand tells a story of resilience and hope. What the future holds remains to be seen, but here and now, the scene we witness is a testament to survival in the face of the inevitable. This is the new landscape of our world, and as the dust continues to settle, all of us here, together, begin the path of rebuilding. Stay with us as we continue to bring you reports of this new chapter, straight from the epicenter of Judgment Day. Here we are, listeners, in what can only be described as the calm after the most devastating storm of all. The air is still thick with the smell of sulfur and the fine dust that slowly settles over this celestial battlefield. The scene is simultaneously desolate and suddenly serene. The silence is almost deafening, a tense pause after the clamor of the heavenly hosts and the roar of the forces of darkness. Before our eyes, the ground is marked by deep scars, places where unimaginable forces clashed, shaping the land with their fury. Fragments of shining armor and torn banners point to the ferocity of the conflict that unfolded here. Now, the field is dotted with exhausted figures, fallen to their knees or leaning on swords, angels and warriors who carry in their eyes the weight of what they witnessed, what they survived. From above, the sky begins to lighten, signs that the light has triumphed, but not without a price. Victory, even though won, demands its toll. Everywhere, pain and loss mingle with profound relief. Tears of sadness and joy flow freely down ash-stained faces. Here, the line between victor and loser is tenuous, marked by invisible scars etched into the souls of those who fought. In the surrounding area, a slow, almost respectful movement emerges, as angels raise the fallen, carrying the wounded with a gentleness that contrasts with the brutality of the previous moment. And among them, human figures, chosen to bear witness, to recount, and to understand the magnitude of what happened. Above all, a new psalm begins to emerge, a melody of rebirth. It's as if creation itself is breathing again, absorbing the lessons learned at the cost of so much sacrifice. An uneasy but genuine peace begins to settle in. The cost was high, but hope rises from the shadows, firm and bright. This calm, listeners, is at once a conclusion and a beginning. A reminder of the power of redemption and the inevitable renewal that follows even the darkest days. The battle has been won, but the real challenge, that of rebuilding and moving forward, has only just begun. Thus, each person's destiny is still unfolding, uncertain but full of possibilities. Stay tuned. We're broadcasting live, and all around me, the scene is of a world that has undergone an indescribable transformation. The return to the ordinary world, the very one we live in, is happening before our eyes, but it's no longer the same. With each step we take on this newly reborn land, it's as if we're treading sacred ground, a ground where time seems to have stood still, yet also advanced into a new era. To my right, I see a stream that was once a polluted trickle. Now, it shines in the sunlight, clear, its waters singing a melody I've never heard before. People, some still in disbelief, gather around, marveling at a purity they haven't seen in generations. The air we breathe is fresh, as if all creation has taken a deep, liberating breath. On the horizon, cities that were once colossuses of concrete and steel, proud of their ephemeral glory, now rise with renewed humility. The buildings, those that have withstood the passage of time and judgment, reflect the light of a radiant sun, as if each window were a lens into a hopefully reshaped future. The streets fill with voices, but not with chaos. They are voices of reconciliation, of a people returning home with the promise of a new beginning. The sky above is an endless blue tapestry, dotted with clouds that don't threaten, but rather welcome. In the distance, I hear the sound of laughter, the laughter of children, free to play in fields that were once forgotten, now rediscovered as paradises of green and life. Families gather, some in tears, others with radiant smiles, all united by the experience of a rebirth that doesn't distinguish between rich or poor, powerful or humble. Animals, once scarce or fearful, reappear, walking side by side with humans. A tacit truce seems to have been established among all creation. In this new world, an almost palpable sense of peace prevails, a peace that everyone feels but few can truly explain. We are witnessing a return to an ordinary world, but not in its original state. This world is now elevated, a space where the extraordinary has become the new normal. And so, we walk together, with the unknown before us, but with renewed faith in our hearts. The destiny that awaits us is uncertain, but it is a destiny we face as one humanity, transformed, ready to write the next chapter of our story. Stay tuned as we continue to bring you updates on this new and impressive world. The streets are filled with a seething sea of emotions, shockwaves sweep across the planet as every corner of the earth faces the inevitable. Here, amid the clamor and confusion, I see faces spanning a palette of feelings, disbelief, fear, and, surprisingly, a calm resignation. The sky, once clear, now seems to oscillate between spectrums of light and shadow, a dance that mirrors the inner turmoil of the crowds. In a central square, where songs and laughter once rang out, a restless murmur now reigns. People huddle around televisions and portable radios, each seeking to understand what lies beyond our control. World leaders deliver pronouncements, their words resonating with a mixture of authority and impotence. Experts debate, but the consensus is clear: we are facing unprecedented change. In major cities, traffic is at a standstill. Cars sit abandoned along the avenues, while their drivers huddle in groups, gazing skyward with a mixture of hope and apprehension. In remote villages, the response is equally intense. Small groups gather around makeshift bonfires, seeking comfort in one another's presence, while the sound of whispered prayers rises on the wind. Despite the chaos, a budding movement of solidarity is emerging. In a remarkable act of unity, people of different nations and faiths are beginning to connect, sharing stories and words of encouragement. In some places, music emerges as a powerful antidote to fear. Songs of resistance and hope echo, a reminder that humanity, even in the face of the unknown, finds strength in togetherness. On the other hand, we cannot ignore pockets of panic. Looting and rioting erupt in some areas, where desperation and uncertainty fuel extreme behavior. Security forces work tirelessly, trying to restore order, while helicopters hover overhead, their searchlights sweeping the growing darkness. As the day progresses, the question looming over everyone is clear: what comes next? Amidst the confusion, one thing is certain: the world is reacting, adapting to a new reality, and somewhere within this chaos, perhaps, lies the germination of a different future, perhaps even one more united. The world watches, waits, and, above all, keeps hope alive. Ladies and gentlemen, we stand here, on the threshold of a new era. What once was is no more. Around us, the world rearranges itself, like pieces of a celestial puzzle, composing a scene few could have imagined. The event, grand and inexorable, passed like a divine storm, cleansing and renewing everything it touched. Now, the new normal unfolds before our eyes. The streets, once filled with haste and confusion, now resonate with an almost surreal calm. The people, those who remain, walk with renewed purpose. The faces I encounter are not the same as before. There is a serenity, a tacit understanding. It is as if a veil has been lifted, revealing the bare essence of existence. Every look, every gesture, is a reaffirmation of the life that goes on. Here in the city, the sky seems more open, more vast. The colors are more vivid, as if nature has been washed in a purifying rain. I smell the wet earth and fresh air, a constant reminder of transformation. The trees, strong and resilient, sprout new branches, symbolizing renewal. It's a rebirth, not only of the environment, but of humanity itself. Communities come together, bound by an invisible thread of solidarity and understanding. The judgments and divisions that once separated us seem distant, consumed by the fire of revelation. Now, there is a palpable desire for connection, for building a future that honors the lessons of the past. People help each other, sharing what they have, not out of obligation, but out of a genuine desire to care for one another. Amidst all this, the question remains: what comes next? This new normal brings with it both challenges and opportunities. Time hasn't stopped, it's simply restarted, giving us a chance to choose, to shape our destiny wisely. What we are now, and what we will become, will depend on our understanding, on our ability to embrace both the light and the shadows that inhabit us. You, listener, are listening to the radio on Judgment Day. But this is not the end, it is a new beginning. Destiny is in your hands. What choices will you make in this reborn world? How will you live in this new normal, where every action, every word, resonates with more impact than we could ever imagine? The earth is silent, awaiting the answer that only you can give. Dear listeners, here we are, in the twilight of this apocalyptic day, where the fate of every soul hangs in the balance, under the penetrating gaze of the Almighty. The scenes I witnessed, forever etched in my memory, are of such magnitude that they surpass the limits of human comprehension. But now, as the dust of the cosmic battle begins to settle, allow me to share the reflection this unforgettable day has brought to me. All around me, I see faces marked by waiting, a mixture of anxiety and hope, as the book of life is opened, and each name is called, one by one. It is a moment when the truth of each heart is revealed, naked and raw, in the divine light. I, as a simple observer, cannot help but reflect on the fragility and strength of human nature that emerged this day. I learned that amidst chaos and terror, the human spirit rises, not just in despair, but in a search for redemption and understanding. I saw the humble exalted, and the powerful fall under the weight of their own ambitions. Through tears and smiles, we understand that all our actions, every choice, every moment of kindness or neglect, are accounted for in this great book, where there is no room for masks or artifice. The lesson that emerges from the ashes of this day is as clear as the morning light. It is love, in its many forms, that guides our destiny. Love for others, for creation, for the truth that escapes us in the small distractions of everyday life. The divisions that separate us here on earth have no place before the divine tribunal, where only the essence of who we are is judged. As the firmament fades into its final beauty, a new understanding dawns within me. It is up to us, with each small gesture, to build a legacy that resonates throughout eternity. I realize that, in this theater of cosmic proportions, true victory lies not in material achievements, but in the ability to love and forgive. Therefore, as the sky is tinged with the last lights of this day of judgment, I invite you to reflect on your own journeys. Let us live with purpose, with courage, overcoming empathy over indifference, and compassion over cruelty. For, in the end, this is what will save us, little travelers of this vast universe. Stay safe, and may peace be with you all. Here we are, listeners, at the climactic moment of this epic journey that has brought us to the brink of final judgment. The sky, in a spectacle of light and shadow, seems to reflect the struggle between the old and the new, the sacred and the profane. The clouds become a tapestry of destiny, transforming into a mosaic of colors that dance to the rhythm of the divine winds. The earth trembles with a palpable energy, as if the soil itself were alive, awaiting the final revelation. All around us, the sounds of nature intensify. It's almost as if the world is holding its breath, every living being aware of the magnitude of what is about to happen. And, amidst this apocalyptic scenario, we, as observers, find ourselves at a crossroads of time. What we see is not just the end of one era, but the birth of another. History, once written, now unfolds before our eyes in a spectacle that transcends human comprehension. But as past and future intertwine, we are reminded of our own present world. The choices we make, the lives we touch, and the very essence of our humanity are reflected in this great mirror of eternity. Look around you, listeners, at the impact of our daily actions. In every gesture of kindness, in every word of hope, we draw parallels to this biblical moment. The connection between the now and the eternal has never been clearer. As we contemplate this stunning vision, we are invited to consider, what will our legacy be? Will compassion be the driving force that guides us? In this moment, we are faced with the urgency to live with purpose, to make the present an echo of the divine. With every step we take, with every decision we make, we are authors of a future yet unwritten. So, I ask you, dear listener, as this cosmic spectacle unfolds before us, how will you choose to live today, knowing that time is an endless tapestry, woven together by our choices? History is in your hands. And here, at the heart of this monumental day, you have the power to shape not only your destiny, but the destiny of generations to come. May today be the beginning of a journey filled with hope and renewal. May we all, together, build a world that resonates with the harmony of the universe, a world worthy of the legacy entrusted to us.